Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be talking about my most recent quick measure that I put out in the gallery, add working days. So a couple videos ago, I did an increase, decrease, no change. And then I'm actually, the second video that's coming, I'm actually recording 3 videos like today. So the first one I already just put out there, which was increase, decrease, no change. I put that out there already. I think Sunday, I have a video coming out on answering questions in the forums, which if you've watched that, that actually got accepted as solutions. That was nice. So yeah, so this one I'm talking about add working days, and that's out there in the forums. It's this guy right here. Now this is actually a quick measure or some DAX and Power Query that I put together for Enterprise DNA like a long time ago. I don't know why I never put it out in the quick measure gallery, but it's out there now, and I've actually made some improvements on it. So I'm going to be covering the calculation and some of the improvements and stuff like that. So here we go. So here is the PBX file that I have, and I think the one I did for Enterprise DNA, I had done it as well, okay then. I did it as columns. So I did a due date and then actually had a Power Query version of it as well. I'd written a function. So add work days, and it looks like this, right? So there's the Power Query. I'm not sure that made it into the book, the definitive guide to Power Query. It should have. I should have. If it didn't, I should have found this and included it because it's pretty cool. Little function. But maybe second edition. So anyway, so let's go ahead and close this. So let's just get into, I'm not going to cover the DAX column version. I'm going to cover the actual measure. So here's add working days. All right, let's go ahead and zoom in on this. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to get, how many work days that we want. So basically the table has a date and then the number of work days that they want to add to that date. That's just how we set it up. You can set up a bunch of different ways, obviously. So I grabbed, the work days from the table, right? That's in context, right? So the first row would be January 1st, 2023. And then I grab I calculate the number of days, and there's a bunch of different ways to do it. This is pretty inefficient way, but you have to account for we're going to create a calendar, right? That includes, a bunch of dates in the future. And then we have to account for weekends and things like that. So I just did a reasonable maximum and said, okay, give me the work days times 4, uh, which is a little excessive. Probably could have easily gone with like 1.5 or 2, but whatever. Probably just, I don't know. Anyway, who cares? Start date. So when they grab the start date, all right? So now we have the date. We have a number of work days. So now the next thing we're going to do in the calendar variable is we're going to create a calendar table. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm creating a calendar that begins at my start date plus 1 and then ends at start date plus the number of days out there, right? So I have a calendar table. I add a weekday column to it, which is I use weekday date and then I use the 2 version of it. So what that does is that means that Monday is the first. So Monday is counted as 1, then Tuesday's 2, Wednesday's 3, 4, 5. So Saturday and Sunday, what that does makes that 6 and 7. So it's real easy to filter out. I just have to filter out where the weekday is less than 6. And then I'll return back just working days. All right. And then what I can do then is I can add an index to that. So all you have to do there is basically you add your columns to the calendar table, you add an index column, and I'm doing a count rows where I filter the calendar date where the date is less than the current date in the context of that row I used earlier there. Could use var, whatever, but sometimes it's just easier to use earlier. So what that's going to do is, so let's say it's Sunday, January 1st, 2023. That means that January 2nd is going to be the first date in my calendar. And so it's going to get it's going to get a count row. It's going to get an index of 1, right? So that's my first working day after my start date. And then the next working day will get 2, 3, et cetera, right? So pretty simple. Then all we have to do is do a filter where we pluck out the date where the index equals the number of work days that we have out there. So if you go through the logic here, Sunday, January 1st, 12 working days out is actually January 17th. So let's go ahead, and I can't, well, if I had a calendar, I could show you that that is actually correct answer. March 1st, 10-day working days out, so the 15th of 2023. March 31st, if I go one working day, it's actually April 3rd, because April 1st is a Saturday and April 2nd is a Sunday. So that's how it works. And then I have another one here. The person that posted, this came out of a forum post. That's why I dug this thing back up. It was interesting to me. They were saying, well, if you start with January 8th, 2024, and go out 35 working days, then they were saying, well, that should return back the 23rd to 23, 24, which is confusing to me. But apparently what they wanted to do, they wanted to count the start date as the first working day, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But if you want to do it that way, it's real easy to change, right? All you have to do is take out that in that calendar up there where it says start date +1, just take out the +1, right? And now your calendar will start on the actual start date, and you can count that as one. I don't know why. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, but to each their own, right? Now, when I posted out the Enterprise DNA video, a bunch of different questions came back. One was, can you do it with working hours? And I'll save that for another video because I haven't developed it yet. So we'll do that. But the one that came up was holidays, right? So, can we account for holidays in this formula? So I created a holiday table, and I just picked a random holiday, which isn't a holiday, but I just picked the date and said it's a holiday. So I have a holidays table here, and I just said March 6th is the holiday, whatever. All right. So the version of that is that gets you there is, we'll go back here. And so as you can see here, if I do Wednesday, March 1st, 2023, go out 10 days, if I use the original measure, it comes back with 315. But since I have a holiday in there, the one that accounts for holidays comes back 316 because it's got a holiday, March 6th, so it's one day past what was returned here. All right, so how does that one work? It's largely the same code, but what you can do, so it starts out exactly the same. But when we build our calendar table, right, there you can see that filter that is the original one from the other measure. I've wrapped that in a select columns and then an accept. Okay, so the select columns is there because if you do an accept, both your tables have to have the same number of columns. So what I'm doing is out of that calendar table where I added the weekday column, I'm then, I don't need it any longer, so I can just select it out. So I can select just the date column, and then I can do an accept with my holidays table, and then that wipes out the holiday dates, right? So then after that, it's all exactly the same code. So that's the only change to account for holidays versus not account for holidays. So there you have it. And again, I'll be posting more of these quick measures as I develop them. I'm going to probably try to do working hours, maybe a few other things with this, but that's all I had for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.